Hey sweets, today let's make a friend's heart cake. This is everything that you'll need, and this is a pretty simple thing to do. This we're just decorating, so don't overthink it, loves. All right, feel free to add your own ingredients. Today I have the princess with me, and we're going to use, I think I labeled this the 8-inch cake, but this is actually a 10-inch cake. So our cakes have been previously baked, stored away to cool down. We made icing, we printed our edible sheet, we have our cake board ready, and this is during a live, so you'll see me kind of have some time in between that I'm actually conversing with people on the live. But here are our cakes, and I think I put two cakes. And that is for those of you that want your cake to stand a lot taller, which makes for longer drips if that's what you would like. But this is just for us. We do not actually celebrate Halloween, so we kind of just do things around the house and politic with each other. So we do fun little crafts and things like that. This is my edible sheet, which means yes, you can eat every part of it. It's just sugar paper. And you can see this is the 10-inch cake. It's been actually sitting overnight. This is a marble cake. And because my children don't always love marble, it's not our go-to cake in the house. We kind of decided just to do one cake and not use the second cake. Okay, my daughter is showing you guys the skeleton hand. I got this mold many years ago. If I can find a link for you guys, I will drop it down in the comments. I don't actually sell this mode. I might think about it next year, but I do use it for other things. But anyway, past all that, let's get into unwrapping our cake. And it still smells so delicious. Oh my goodness, it made me hungry. And my baby girl is actually working on the black fondant that she's going to use to create the hands for this cake. We use Wilton's black fondant, but if you know how to make fondant, you can make it, color it, and all those great things, and just set it to the side for the color to actually um, lift. Okay, I can't get rid of the plastic wrap, but I have my cake board here, and this is just your typical 10-inch cake board. It might be 10 and a half. I actually came across these spur of the moment at Dollar Tree. I never buy this size cake boards. And I was like, okay, well, maybe I'll put Rice Krispie treats on it, but ended up deciding to use it for this. So my daughter is showing the live people what mode she's using because someone is asking, and you'll see her work the fondant. Of course, as always, please make sure your hands are washed and cleaned. Some of these things we can't do with gloves on. We could, but it's just tedious. And this is a cake for us again. So all right, I'm trying to figure out how to use my cake guide. I have a guide for this, and I don't know if I wanted to do 2 inches or 1 inch, and they didn't seem to be staying. So I was just gonna cut my cake in half. Of course, icing the middle. That gives you height as well for those of you that don't know. You just want to saw through your cake. That sounds horrible. But I did not do the best job because, again, I'm trying to answer people on lives. We're sharing a very small workspace, and I can. You know, it's okay to have things that are not actually perfect because it's going to taste amazing regardless. So don't get too down on yourself if you are learning to do this. Ooh, let's look at the cake, y'all. That is chocolate and butter vanilla, which is like a butter yellow cake. I leave the egg yolks in, and I am using American buttercream. I'm going to have to do a video for you all so that I'll just be able to link my video. But yeah, my preference is vanilla buttercream. So you'll see me with the short offset spatula. I don't know why they seem to work better for me on these heart cakes. I just don't like the long one. Do you guys like the long one? Let me know down in the comments. Okay, so I know you guys can't see everything, but I am actually spreading my icing, making sure it's even and trying to remember which side is which of the cake, so I make sure that I lay the top back down appropriately. And here I am grabbing um, the bowl that the excess icing is going to go in, because I'm actually going to take that icing and make our teal color icing. Once we get our crumb coat on, I don't know about the rest of you, but sometimes to me it's tedious to dye all levels of the cake unless the person asks for me to do it. I normally do a white buttercream for my crumb coat, and I go back and I color the fondant, the icing the same color, and I put it on the outside on my finishing coat. What do you guys think? Do you feel like all parts of the cake needs to be the same color, or do you guys do it the same way where it's going to taste as good? Now, for my babies, sometimes they do request that the whole cake is a particular color, or if I had a client that requests the whole cake is one particular color, then we do that. But just for us at home, this did not matter at all, loves. So here I am putting the top of the cake back on. I did not want to leave it face up. I laid it down because it was going to recreate the seam that was already there, and we would work around from there. So I'm making sure that it's lined up appropriately. I have not even glued my cake down to my board with my buttercream yet, but I'm going to flip it over, because when you flip it over, you have that smooth finish on the top. Now my cake does look very much so like I guess for us it would be the right hand side is higher than the left hand side, but that's not so. That is actually just how it looks. The cake, when I flipped it upside down, it became more even. So sometimes people want to cut it and make it symmetrical. I don't always do that because you're wasting cake. And I then have to find something to do with that cake because we try not to be wasteful. So, and I did not want the kiddos to ask me to make cake pops because it wouldn't have been enough cake for everyone to have some. Okay, you can see me starting my crumb coat. I always like to do my seams on my heart cakes first. And what you see me doing is just kind of sealing the cake back together. I use it kind of like paste. Let's call it that. Okay, and you can see baby girl over on the right hand side working on these hands, which are really, really skinny and very tedious. So big ups to my love. She did her thing when she did it. All right, so this is the part that once you get to a particular um, thickness with your crumb coat on these heart cakes, I like to slow down in the divot so that we are creating the look that we really want. Make sure it stays a heart, it's not clumped up, because I don't want to add too much icing and then have to scrape it off. That is very tedious. So let's just do the basics first. And then when we get into the actual finishing coat, then I make sure that the bottom of the cake is definitely taken care of. I've seen bakers that don't actually icing the bottom because there is a lot of icing on this heart cake and you're going to put a border on it. So it's up to you. Do you put a border on every cake? I think I like the heart cakes with borders because we have now come into the vibe of the border makes it more elegant. And I love that. But I also love a clean cake. I love a cake that's clean. You could just see to the bottom and be like, ooh, somebody really took their time. So I don't know. I guess we'll see what I decide to do with this one. All right. So just using a little bit of buttercream on the top to get this crumb coat going. It's going to go back in the refrigerator. I want to say for probably about 30 minutes maybe. It didn't take 30 minutes. I just was doing other things and I was trying to make sure that I was ready for the cake when it came back out. I just wanted to move along. So I'll also say that if you don't start with your image printed while your cake is cooling in the refrigerator, that's a good time to print your image. Leave it set somewhere so that it can set up. I am using my cake scraper to smooth the cake evenly. You see it is taking some of the icing off, some of the excess icing. I noticed that there's a crumb coat, but loves, you got to remember this is a very clean looking cake in certain parts. So even though we're coming in with drip, we're coming in with two borders at the bottom, you still want it to look clean in between those drips. So as we see baby girl, I think she's now working on skulls because I forgot to list them. Please do spare me. Love me. I love y'all. But I forgot all about the skulls, the skeletons. They were also a silicone mold. It came with three skeletons in it. And where did I, like I said, I've had these things for years. So I don't know. I'll look online and see if there's a place that might be economical for me to list for you guys to be able to find these items. But if not, y'all know what we do. We go to Amazon, baby. I'm no gatekeeper. If I got the information, I'll give it to you. But yeah, you see me, I have to leave. I had to go get my icing colors, even though I'm not going to use them right now. I do have the idea that if you keep your board clean, you can see what you're working with. So right now, even though this is for the family, you do see me cleaning off the board. I feel like I get so, I don't know, maybe it's my OCD and nothing against, I've never been diagnosed. Nothing taking away from people that actually have it, but there's a cleanliness is next to godliness idea that I was raised with, so I treat my job the same way. There's so many things. You see me cleaning off the table, just, I don't know. What am I doing here? Am I dancing? I was dancing. Okay, so we had music on, we were live, so. I don't know. Took a moment to enjoy myself. And she over there working hard and I'm playing. Okay though. She loves me. It's okay. I would never take advantage of her. I can't even I think I'm answering people on the actual live right now, loves. And to be quite honest, I don't know how to speed this part of the video up without messing it up. So we're just sitting here waiting on something. I don't know what. Oh, I think people were asking me different ideas about how to smooth the cake, how to smooth the cake with different scrapers because I did ask them as well, what is your favorite thing to smooth out your cake with? Some people use a spatula, some people do use a offset spatula like you guys saw me with. Like I said, I prefer the short ones for my heart cakes and for my like 6-inch cakes. Even though this is a 10-inch cake, I just like how it feels in my hand. I feel like I have more control over it. Okay, now I'm back to work, loves. So I am going to put more icing, and that's what that is, American buttercream on this cake. Or did somebody just want to see it? Okay, so clearly I'm having a time. I don't know. And those of y'all that don't know, I can't dance. I grew up dancing, but all of a sudden I got older and I guess working in the field I was in, I just stopped dancing and I just seem to have lost that skill. But it ain't gonna stop me. Dancing opens up your serotonins, and I just love to be happy, right? Okay, love. So we're just chilling here as she's working. And yes, I could have put the cake in the oven, but I did not because of the fact of the oven. Lord, I could have put the cake in the refrigerator because I was waiting to answer people. I did not put the cake in the refrigerator, and I wasn't finished evening up my icing. So if you take a cake and you put it in the refrigerator and it gets cold and it's lumpy, it's going to show in your work, whether it's for you, your family, or someone else. I take pride in everything I do, anything attached to my name. Sometimes the kids say I am a perfectionist. It might be the Virgo in me, but I don't know. It's just easier to work with when your cake is smooth. And I've seen people figure it out. To me, it takes way more icing to re-smooth a cake than just doing it this way from the beginning. I'm now trying to hit my edges where the heart turns to a heart. And I'm just moving up and down a little bit and making sure my icing is pretty much leveled out in the turn. So if you're looking at the cake from the side, you can still see that it's a heart and it doesn't look like it's just a weird shape. That is something I really don't like about these heart cakes. When you're trying to do the top edges and they turn into that weird shape. If you've ever done one, you know what I'm saying. That weird shape will make you feel disappointed, let down, and you just kind of want to give up. So I have learned to take way more time with this, and it is a little bit tedious. You know what I just thought about? This is a heart-shaped cake on a square board. So we are just no, I turned it long ways. But typically, I do put my heart-shaped cakes on round boards and the people on. So my question to you all is: in doing such things, do you guys have a preference for the heart cakes? And I turned the cake sideways so people could see on the live exactly what I was using the bench scraper for. And I love my little bench scraper. It just seems to fit like so many crevices, and I love it like getting down in the divot. And then if I feel like I took off too much icing, I do come back with my small offset spatula and fill in the spaces. I probably could do this with a bag, but I felt like the bag may have been overkill because I really didn't feel like I needed that much. And you can see baby girl working so diligently, so quickly on these images so that we'll be able to use them. Now, because I did not know exactly what I wanted to do with the images that she's making, the skeleton heads and the hands, I put very little to none dextrose in them. Tylose, dextrose, whatever you guys decide to use for your fondant to make it hard, I would say maybe, but she's working on the hand. And what I found was it just kept breaking over and over again. Another order I had did for someone that wasn't for me. And I gotta say, I had to remake that hand probably about 4 or 5 times because it is very, very thin. And of course, you can see baby girl rolling out fondant to kind of like make it fit so that it fills the mold completely, and then she tears it off. She goes back to pushing it back down to fill the mold, making sure it's not overfill. Now, I have seen people overfill the mold and then go back and cut it off. I just never learned how to do fondant that way with a mold. And if you're not careful, you can still cut up these silicone molds, which means you'll be closer to replacing these silicone molds. So I guess the preference is yours. I just like to give people options and let them know. Okay, but she's really got a thing going on. I love it. Okay, they work a lot more with fondant than I do, so they know more about what they like to do. But I guess it's kind of just like doing Play-Doh, but I haven't done that in many, many moons. And I'm just going to make sure my top is all the way even before I put it in the refrigerator. So I'm almost sure I put this in the refrigerator. I may even do the freezer for 15 minutes. Now, let's be careful when we're putting our products into the freezer to pull them back out because that difference in temperature can become a problem, definitely when you're dealing with edible images. So always be mindful of the temperature that the cake is in opposed to the temperature it is now going to need to come to. Did I say that right? I don't know if I said that right. Okay. All right. So now here we go. We're going to add some more icing. I do believe. I think we're adding icing. Yep. And yep. I only start with a little bit of color because I feel like once I get a color that I like, I will kind of move forward with that. But I don't know. I feel like less is more a lot when dealing with icing. All right. I'm answering some questions about icing and how stable. Someone wanted to see how stable my icing was. I really had to put some effort to get it off of the spatula. And I feel like that's how buttercream should be. let's be mindful. This is a Halloween cake, so it's getting cooler outside. But we still had some very warm days. So the idea of a heart cake, it's going to stay its shape, but you don't want to put unstable buttercream on anything and sit it where it can melt. So a warmer room or even indirect sunlight. I did a wedding show a few years ago and the cake melted. Thank goodness we got to it before it completely melted. We had not even realized with the direct sunlight and the heat that they had in the venue, a beautiful cake melted. And I should probably do a story time about this, but I have not gotten around to it yet. But the cake still was beautiful. The cake still tastes amazing, but I just was a little heartbroken because it looked, I don't know, buttercream once it warms up just looks different. All right. I am answering questions, and she's now answering questions about the fondant. She has the hand, and it looks amazing. Oh, it's a hand. I think the fingers were pretty close together, so she was trying to spread them out without breaking it. We don't have to do all that. All right, so she's gonna make, I think another. I think there's gonna be another hand. Oh wow, she did that pretty fast. So she has her two hands. Like I said, we're pretty symmetrical. So we got one hand for each side of the cake, and I think she's gonna change her modes. I don't know. I'm not sure. When they're working, I kind of just let them work their magic. They're very creative souls, and I love that. Okay, loves, what are we doing? What am I doing? I don't know. But needless to say, this cake is about to go into the refrigerator. That's what I'm thinking because it's been out for a while. And just showing the live people how to keep that dip in the heart, the top of the heart, it's the small steps that create the look that you actually want. Okay, she has three skeletons done already. And you see me gently smoothing. I'm not really putting too much on to the bench scraper. I don't heat mines up with a torch. Sometimes my hands are really warm anyway. So once that bench scraper gets warmed up, it applies pressure to the buttercream and it releases air bubbles. So you want to make sure that you are doing that. And because it's late in the year, this buttercream was very stable. So I didn't have to add a lot of pressure to it. There wasn't a lot of air bubbles. I loved it. The everything came together really, really nice. I don't know exactly what we're going to do right here, but we are doing it. All right, love it. Oh, she made six skeletons. So the idea is to have more than what we need, and those don't have any dextrose in it. So any that we don't use will go back into the black fondant, or maybe for another cake or cupcakes for the boys or something. But we deliberately chose not to put black fondant with a lot of dextrose for a reason, because you can see these molds are really, really small. And I don't know if I'm slow because I'm used to using a cake turner, and this seems to be really putting me at odds with myself, as well as trying to do a live and explain what I'm doing. Of course, you guys can't hear the live. I took the sound out. There were some really fun questions, some really good things. Do you guys follow us on TikTok? If not, feel free to find us. E614 Sweets. So yeah, we're on TikTok. We're on all social media, but mm, you pretty much gonna find me on TikTok because it's easier to use. It's new. That's pretty much it. All right. Loves, please, please, please remember to use cornstarch on your hands and on your fondant molds so that they don't stick. That is something I clearly forgot to say. But like I said, she's good at this fondant thing. Me, I'm not so good all the time, but there's nothing like getting a beautiful image or you think you're getting a beautiful image and it's stuck into your mold and trying to get it out, it begins to bend and then you have to recreate it. It can be frustrating, but just take your time, especially with these very small images. You really want to take your time and do it gently. I am again cleaning the board because it's a mirror board, baby. We don't want all that excess on there. I just don't like how it looks. Presentation is everything to me. All right, and baby girl is waiting on me. I'm sure we're still answering people. I can tell by the way I am moving. Hmm. She's fixing the heads. They're just so cute. All right, so I am. Am I finally gonna? I am finally ready to take it to the refrigerator. Right? Okay, loves. And like I said, 30 minutes in the refrigerator could be cool to go ahead and start your finishing coat, your top coat, whatever you guys call it. But if you're doing the freezer, I kind of would not do more than 20 minutes because if you don't know, having a frozen cake is awesome to work with, but when you're using buttercream, it could be the death of you as well because that icing gets on that frozen cake and it gets hard very, very quickly. So if you don't have an idea, it could be bad. Okay, here we are back. Let's make color. I am ready. Are y'all ready? These colors are going to be amazing. I think they're going to be dope because I just like color. I'm a color person. I color. I don't always paint, but I will, especially with my babies. So this is the bigger bowl is going to be my top coat color, which is going to be about a teal. I'm going to use this stirrer. And I like to use a stirrer that is not the same top side, the same color as the color that I'm making. Okay, I've showed you guys the black gel color that I got. I think it's a mirror color, but to get that deep black color, I use black cocoa. Okay, now some people say you can taste it. Sometimes you can. I'm not gonna lie to you. But would you rather taste cocoa or would you rather taste dye? Because that dye, that red, that purple, that black, oh baby, it is horrible. Now you see me starting with a small amount of color, which again is going to turn the icing gray. And it may even be a little bit deeper than I thought because it's a small amount. That is a really small bowl. But you see me pouring in the black cocoa. And no, I do not measure loves because I don't measure my buttercream. I go by the color that I'm looking for. So as I get closer, now I will say again, if your buttercream is not stable, this is detrimental. If you have lumps in your buttercream, this black cocoa may show it. So you want a really smooth buttercream and you want to get what's on the side. I like to start with the middle and mix the actual icing color in. You can see we're getting that gray color now and I'm just slowly stirring. And as I'm going, I'm trying to scrape in the sides because no color left behind. We are going to do what we can do. And it's not going to be brownish black. It's going to be black, black, y'all. If you didn't get a chance to see the pictures, there will be pictures at the end of this video. And you see just that fast with that little bit of icing color and that cocoa powder, it's black. It's gray. It's not black. I definitely want it darker than this because This could be cool if I was doing like a graveyard theme. I would use this color. I might make a cake that's a heart cake with a graveyard theme. Maybe, I don't know. You have to stay tuned. I got a feeling, I got an idea for it. All right, so we're going to go again with the black icing color. This is the same color I just used. I'm just going to use a little bit more. Now, if you don't have time, be mindful of the amount of icing that you have to dye ratio. So, what that means is start with a small amount, add your dye, your gel color, add your cocoa powder, and get it deeper than you want it, darker than you want it, and then add a little bit more buttercream to it. That's what I do when I don't have a lot of time. But I don't actually want to be on live long. But not only that, the boss is on me about how long it's going to take me to make this cake. Because they know even once I pipe it, it's going back in the refrigerator. We're not going to cut it right then. So I'm stirring and trying to make sure all my color is incorporated. Okay, sorry, loves. About have the hiccups. Okay, so I'm just stirring, making sure that my color is coming along, and it is. So now we have that dark gray charcoal color, and you'll keep seeing me add a small amount at a time because less is more. You can always add more, baby. You can never take away. Okay, so what that means is I know consistently think about how this is going to taste for this small amount of icing. I know to be flexible with my color. If I'm not getting the color I want, I know there will be a stopping point. And anyone that uses gel icing color, you know that as gel icing color sets up, it deepens. It gets richer, it gets thicker, and that's the same way that it works with this cocoa powder. Cocoa powder, it becomes a really deep, rich color, and I love that. I really do because I have the idea in my mind and I'm just creating. Okay, so y'all see me stop. So be careful with that black. This is Wilton's teal. The other one I think was a Mirror Chef, but I don't know. I will have to look, y'all. All right, this is Wilton's. When I first started baking, that's what I knew. That's what a lot of the bakers were using, and nobody really had any answers as far as who had the best icing colors. And Wilton's just seems to be everywhere. So why not? We can get it on Amazon. It's just readily available. So, and I love the color teal. My favorite color is purple, but I don't know for like the fellas, like this is a friend's cake and it's got Michael Myers, Freddy. It's a masculine themed cake, so I didn't want to use like girly colors. And yes, it is a heart, but I wanted to make it masculine. If that makes sense. I don't know, y'all. It to me it makes sense in my mind. It's your project. You know what you want it to look like. You know why you want it to be that way. But yeah, I just didn't want to put a lot of girly cakes on a lot of girly images on a heart cake. So I chose the fellas in the Scooby Doo van because the Scooby Doo van is teal as well. So kind of date myself. I grew up on Scooby Doo. It was one of my faves. All right. And y'all see, just like that, we are coming into the color that I want. We are good. And we're going to check our image. Y'all see the image. The image is looking very nice. So now we ready to pipe some gel, some icing color. Gel, I don't know what I'm thinking about, but I don't know how you guys do it. I just use a cup because it's easy. Make sure you cut your tip before you put your, and there's no reason to put a tip in this, y'all, because this is just going to be used for the cake. This is not like for piping. This is just to help me get the icing on the cake, right? All right. Now, I've seen people use their hands. My hands are huge, baby. I try not to use my hands because I always end up overstuffing the bag. And I hate that because it comes hard to uh, control. So you don't want to overstuff. I like to use the smaller bags because it gives me an idea of how much icing I am using. I think I started with 6 sticks of butter So whatever 6 sticks of butter makes for us. I don't measure it like in measurements. I measure it by the amount of butter that I use. Okay. All right, my sweets. So, all right. So as I fill my piping bag, I am trying to make sure that I am not overdoing it, being mindful. But I'm also looking to make sure all my icing color is mixed in because you don't want to start piping and you realize you missed a portion of icing. That is so unsatisfying. All right. And I do have other bags because those are going to be the bags that I'm going to put my tips in. Now, this is a star nose tip, which is, I do believe, a 23 tip. It's by Wilton's, and it's going to help create the dramatic of the tips, right? It creates drama with the icing. A lot of people use this for like their shell borders and things like that. So if you love that tip, this tip is for you, loves. All right, I'm going to go ahead and cut my baggie with my tip. I measure my bags where to cut based on my tips. Because if you overcut it, the tip falls out. You lose your icing. If you cut it, then you're clogging your tip. You're not getting the images that you want. And that could be a problem in itself too. All right, so now I'm ready to put some blue icing in this tip. This is going to be for the outside border of the cake and the bottom border of the cake. Now, we've seen the heart cakes that have one color border on the bottom, and that's cool. They use two different tips with one color border. I don't think so. I want the dramatics of this whole situation. Everything I do it big. You might as well call me Wiz Khalifa. Yes, because I love it that way. All right, so I measured out my icing to try to be able to do two different tips. Now, I hope this is enough icing to pipe the way I want to pipe. If not, I always try to leave a little bit of icing in the bowl so that I can match the color back up when recreating icing, if that makes sense. Because if I scrape the bowl clean, I might come out with a different color. I've done that before, very, very long ago, and ain't nothing like finishing your product to figure out that you have three different colors on a cake when it was only supposed to have one. So, okay. Now, don't forget, I love the black. So we didn't mix that black for anything. We didn't mix it to let it sit. We gonna go ahead and put our tip in it. Now, this is a smaller tip. This may be a 21. I can't see it. I will drop it down in the comments definitely. And you see how small that is. It is so beautiful. We are going to pipe like a defensive border. So I guess you guys will see what I'm stating. So it's not just the idea of, okay, I got a tip for a border. There's a border, then a border, then a border is what I want. So it's kind of like making a sandwich. So it'll be teal, black, teal. That's the idea I have in my mind. And remember that when you are using an edible image, you kind of want to be mindful of the edges. I don't mind the edges. We pipe this border for, pipe the border. We pick this image and I'm not worried about how thick my border is. I am stirring my black, I'm checking it, and we're making sure everything is good with it. I'm going to put it in the piping bag and I'm answering people online and dancing because, yes. If you do something you love, you will never work a day in your life, my dears. So, as you guys can tell, my sweets, I love what I do. I love being able to do it with the people I can do it with. They're good to me and I love it. All right, so I'm trying to leave enough icing so that if I need anything else, let's remember we're trying to make two borders out of this little bit of black, and I don't want to overdo it on one and not the other. So I have to be mindful about how much pressure I am applying because I don't want the black to grasp the cake. I just want it to shine through just a little bit. Okay. I want the cake to be bold with the bright blue. We're gonna do some drip. Let's get to it, baby. I just said we're gonna do some drip. So we're using Red Wilton's Candy Melt, and I do have Crisco. I don't use the wafers, or not wafers, the little wax melts. Okay, I'm saying all the wrong things, love. Okay, those are Wilton's Candy Melts, right? Yes. You can use red chocolate if you find it, but this time of year, it's hard for me to find it where I live. I'm using Crisco. Some people use the little, they're thin, Easy Thins is what they're called by Wilton's too. But the amount of money I spent on those, it really didn't make sense. And I just decided to use these. Okay. So I'm ready to melt my candy melt. But guess what? You can't put candy melt on the creme coat, baby. So we set it to the side. We did not melt them yet. And I'm starting my finishing coat, my top coat. And right here, you see me going all around the cake. I'm trying to make sure that things are even, trying to make sure that these edges I can work with. Because if not, now would be the time for me to come in with a knife, or I guess even a butter knife, and remove any excess. So if you understand that sometimes when you're moving a little bit quicker, the icing could clump up, and that's not what I want. So I'm just checking as I go to make sure everything is smooth, and we are going to be able to create the look that I would like to surprise my babies with. You see, my helper is gone. She's on break. She's done her work though, so I can't say too much about that. I love the vibes. They're not far. All right, so I have my blue icing bag, which you guys saw me do first. And I'm just going around the cake. And it doesn't really take a lot of icing to do this. As you guys see, I'm just going up and down. There's a little bit of space in between. I am slowly paying attention because some of the other parts of the cake has icing hanging off the top, which I am going to eventually work down. So if we are doing that, let's not do overkill and make it uneven, which leads us to having to scrape more off of the cake. I'm also looking at how the top looks, what's uneven, and I'm filling that in with the baggie as well. So we are going to begin to slowly turn the cake. As we are turning the cake, we're eyeballing what looks like it's ready, and I'm showing the live people how I start my cakes. Now, sometimes I do use a little more icing than this. I do see places that I already know I'm going to have to go back in with extra icing. But just so that we have a pretty even feel, this is what we are working with. Okay? And I'm trying to stay between both cameras, love. I know it's hard. I really do appreciate y'all being here. Don't forget to leave a comment. Tell us how you do it. Like the video. Subscribe. Help the channel grow. We're a family out here. And we're doing the things that we love to do. We're providing a service that brings smiles. Even though this is for my babies, it's going to bring smiles. And them smiling makes me smile. All right, so loves, we are ready to do the side of the cake. We're going to start with the bench scraper. And I'm just applying a very small amount of pressure and pushing the icing into the cake as we turn, and I'm going around the whole cake. And as you guys can see, there's holes in the cake. Like I just stated, there were some places that I knew I was going to have to fill in. And I do this probably 2 or 3 times to see what was left. So you see, it's not a lot of icing came off. And we're just going to add it back to the icing, mix it back in or whatever. And we're going to come back and fill these holes and move forward. I'm showing the people on live so they can see what the result was. But you can see I have a piping bag. If you look down in the left-hand corner, and I have began to do the seam of the cake, right? Remember, I didn't icing all the way down for this reason, because I would prefer to use my top coat color opposed to having a lot of white icing at the bottom. Now look, boom, Bob's your uncle.
the board looks like it's all the way down. Well, the cake looks like it's decorated all the way to the board. And yes, we are going to put a border on, but I like to start here. And we're just slowly smoothing. I think this is probably my most satisfying part of making cakes, is watching how smooth it can become. Is it hard? Sometimes. Is rewarding? Always. All right, so loves, this is the thing. If you are one of those people that don't really like to do this part, you just want to pipe the border, you could definitely skip forward. But this, for me, relaxing, relatable, and I just like to do it. I feel like I can understand what I'm doing with my cake as long as I know that it's going to be smooth. That keeps me on track with my ideas for this project, because there will be humps and bumps in cakes that will slow you down. And like I said, these are for my loves, and they're waiting. And that might be part of the pressure, because everybody else gets a beautiful, beautiful cake. Even when I decide to make cake, most of the time it's just a rush job. So I really want to take my time. You knew I was rushing when I just kind of printed one image. A lot of times I print two, but I first initially thought about doing a 6-inch cake. That's why the image is so small. It wasn't until I got ready to bake and I was like, a 6-inch cake for my loves, they're going to be angry, because they were able to decorate 6-inch cakes by themselves. So how are we going to share a 6-inch cake? So that's why I ended up doing 10 inches. Not saying that we're going to eat all this cake. We're probably going to eat a little bit and then give it away. Cut it, give it away. That's what we do. Now, if you don't know, this top part, working with a clean spatula, gives you way more results than trying to move the icing around on your spatula. You're going to use every opportunity that you get to clean your offset spatula, go ahead and do that, because it's just going to create what you're looking for. And I do know that these don't have to be 100%, but I do need them to be a certain amount. And I've seen that in the middle where I'm going to lay my image, there were like some divots. I don't know if you guys couldn't see it. I didn't see it in the video. Maybe you did. But I just feel in those divots. So I gently moved icing with offset spatula toward parts that were down. Now, again, another thing that you have to think about when you are doing this is pay attention to how your image would lay. So if there's a lot of divots in the cake, it may show in your image. If you're putting an image on a cold cake, it's definitely going to show, love. I'm not going to lie to you. I don't want you guys to be upset or miss out thinking you did something wrong. It's just the way the paperwork. There are 2 types of paper in my state. There's the thin edible paper and the thick edible paper. I prefer thick, and I order mine from Canada. So I don't know what you guys do, but when I have to go like to an actual person to have them print, when my printer was down, I got a paper that it felt like wafer paper, but it wasn't. It still had the backing as an edible sheet, but I felt like that was the worst paper I had got ever. And I was doing so many image cakes. I was so sad every time. So just be mindful. There's different types of paper, and I'm definitely now letting myself feel like I need to do this, because yes, I don't want my border looking lopsided. Okay, loves. Evidently, I forgot to hit the button for this camera. So you guys missed the drip and me putting the image down. I'm so sorry. But here we are. We got the bottom blue border on, and we're piping our black border right on top. Look at those drips, though. Can we talk about that? Looks like blood. I love it. But some of the deeper ones, I normally count to 3 based on how I want the drip to look. My longer drips, I do 3 to 5. I'll count 1, 2, 3, and I'll stop. I'll stop applying pressure.
For my shorter drips, I was doing one or two. And then on this side, you can see I was running out of candy melt. So I was just trying to make it back to that side of the cake. We had made it all the way around. I am doing the best I can. And I messed up, so I had to take it off. These are the things you guys don't see. Y'all get a lot of post production when it comes to me. But yeah, I do make mistakes. And even though it's for my babies, it's okay because I took it off to fix it. Let's be mindful when you're using a smaller tip, you have to have a certain type of buttercream. It can't be too thick, it has to be stable, it can't be too stable. And that is part of the thing that I'm going through right here. Adding that cocoa powder does make your buttercream more stable, but I forgot that I wanted to use a really small tip for this black because I don't want to take away from the cake itself. So I'm just working through um, the air pocket. There is an air pocket, and also some of it is trying to clump up. So I could have spent a little more time stirring once I got my color and really made sure that everything was ready to go. But again, I was on live and I was trying to do a lot just to show you guys how to create something special for your loves. And of course, my love was like, I'm ready to eat it now. You see me using a toothpick this time to remove it. Now, yes, there is a black space, but guess what? I'm just going to go right over it with icing. It's a cake, baby. You can do whatever you want. Do whatever makes you feel good. And I just continue to pipe this border and do my dance because I was able to fix it. Because sometimes you got to do your dance. If you don't congratulate yourself, don't expect anybody else to. The team was telling me, "Yay, you fixed it." So, absolutely amazing. I love it. I love their vibes. All right. So, right here, I really take my time on the corners. I'm really digging these drips. And I did not want to cover up that long one, but we had to. Oh, so don't be like me. Don't get overzealous and just let it drip. And unless you don't mind, but I really like it with a few long drips and mostly short ones looking like it's blood running. So we've done the bottom border, loves. I love it. And at the edge where the heart comes together, I just do like a little rosette. We're really small. All right. I don't want to pick this cake up. It is really heavy, but y'all see I had to go ahead and get my cake turner. I do what I could do. I'm gonna show y'all what I can. Y'all see the back of my image up there next to my icing bowl. So do make sure that you all are pulling off your image. And I'm going to now start with my blue border. And I'm just going in a circle. Like I said, it's going to be a really simple border because I want to be able to show that red drip. That's my idea. Look at that, y'all. It looks like the cake is leaking blood. What else do y'all want to see me make? I got some ideas, but I don't know, love. Y'all let me know. Oh my goodness. I like it. I'm liking it. I like it a lot. And I wanted three borders. So yes, all that white won't be there once I am finished. It will be really easy to cut the image down, but that's not who I am. I wanted the image as big as possible, and like I stated before, this image would have been big for a 6-inch cake. It would have took up the whole cake. But here we are. And we're just getting to it. And at this point, I really tried to go slow, but I got myself in a rhythm and it worked. So I'm just finishing up the last of this other side of the border. And we're doing the best we can with what we got. Yeah, I'm so excited. I'm so excited. I want to scream. All right. When your icing is low, please remember to stop. I just stopped and just add more icing. I try to refill the bag just to make it simple. I don't grab a new bag all the time, especially these newer bags are a little bit thicker. So, what I am doing right here, I am going to use that again, but y'all can see what we working with so far. So, I don't know why I'm moving this bowl again, but everything's coming in how I want it. It's coming in clutch, baby. All right, so I'm about to get another baggie. Is this for the blue? I don't know. We'll see in a second. Well, if I can get the baggie open. All right, so now we're going to the second tip. Second tip, which is the, I don't know, I'm gonna drop it in the comments, y'all. I'm gonna label them big and small because I can't remember. All right, so we're cutting the bag so we can get ready to do our piping. I don't know about you guys. I try to use smaller tips around the bottom of the cake, the border, and then I don't mind using a bigger tip for the top of the cake. For me, I feel like it works out. You know, a lot of people like the small borders on the hard cakes. I don't. I like the big border. So when I do like my burn cakes and things like that, I'll do a big border sometime because I have to, because you want to make sure the image is stable. But I don't know. I think because I started doing burn cakes so early that I just got accustomed to still making a thick border. And we like icing, or I like icing. My kids don't always eat icing like that. I was a kid. I grew up on icing. We may have been fueled by icing a few summers. All right, so now we are ready to get back at it. But let's make sure that our tip is clean because you don't want it clogged. You don't want it to mess up your design. You want to make sure everything is always cleaned off when you start your piping because sometimes you can fix it, but sometimes you can't. Okay? Y'all see me starting. It is black. It's gonna be black, y'all. I love the vibes. And you see how thick that is? So when we say stable, we mean thick, but not this thick, y'all. I was so sad, but it was working. So I was very, very happy as well. I didn't know what I wanted to be. You feel me? But what I'm going to do this
Now, this is my second border. Remember I said I want
a border and a border. So there's going to be another border to cover up the image. So where it looks like the tree is coming out the black, um, coming out, it won't be black because number one, we don't like black icing like that. It's going to be blue. And you kind of just get yourself in a rhythm and you figure it out. And you're like, oh, okay. I really don't like to decorate heart cakes upside down unless I start upside down, right? So if I start at the bottom, I want it to face me. Whatever direction I start in, then that's kind of the direction that I have to keep going. I don't know. Is anybody else like that? It's kind of like I need it to be a particular way. Yay. Now you can see the
that we're creating. It's dramatic. It's dramatical, loves. My sweets, my sweet.
it is getting there. It's almost time. I'm about to come through with the blue. And we're just doing dollops now. See, that's why I wanted the bigger. I think this is my 1M. I didn't. Uh-oh, y'all. I'm messing around. All right, so now we got to go back the other way because I want this to come together a particular way. And I felt like this was not taking too much away from the two outside borders. And but I didn't realize how big the 1M dollops really be sometime. And I just was thinking 10-inch cake, a 1M, definitely. But I don't always do dollops on 10-inch cakes. But y'all can see I got a little bit of space left. So I'm just going to go ahead and fill that in as well. We're dolloping and dolloping and dolloping. And one more. Okay. Oh, well, evidently my OCD done kicked in, baby. All right. All right. I looked at it. I like it. I like it a lot. See, this is why I didn't want to use girly colors because it's Friends. And if you guys know, my baby girl loves Friends. So this is what it looks like. All right, loves. This cake is heavy. So please be careful. Make sure you take your pictures in a stable place. I am going to have to take pictures in a stable place. Show us your cakes, love. Show us your cakes. Tag me, drop me, ESNT Cakery of 614. Let me know. I want to see what you guys make. I love a creative mind. Now, this is baby girl's part. She gets to put on her hard work. I'm so proud of them. Oh, she tells me I can do it. I feel so special. I do. Okay, I'm just gonna put it down. Okay, I don't know where to put the hands at. So that's what we're talking about, where to put the hands at. Oh, okay. She's showing me something. Well, teach me then, Mama. Teach me. Okay, so now she's giving me the skulls, the skeleton skulls. And because there's six of them and she worked hard, I think I am going to use all of them. So we're just going to place them kind of symmetrical in places. And we're just going to move forward. I would definitely suggest using tweezers. Like I said, this cake is for my love. So if I bumped it or did anything that I didn't necessarily want to do, that could destroy the image of the piping, I would have to apologize. All right, now this is my favorite thing to do, but I might be able to let her do it. She got to pick the color she wanted. Now, this is like a bluish teal. I got this off of Amazon. It is edible glitter. I think it came from Oh So Sweets. I don't use this color often, so that was another reason why I chose to do the cake this color. And I've had it for probably a year, almost a year now. But it's beautiful, y'all. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. I appreciate you all. She is adding the razzle dazzle to the cake, baby. So it's going to glimmer. I do not have a video of this. I'm so sad. I'm so sad. I would have put it at the end of this, but I don't. All right, so if you wanted to make a heart cake, here it is, my loves. And I'm just using a Dollar Tree paintbrush I bought years ago to do this with. I do have Wilton's brushes, but they're so expensive. I don't like using them for this. And on my image, I like to put a little bit, but I like to clean up the image with the paintbrush. Certain images, they look better when the edges shine. They bring attention to it. I try not to cover up the image itself. The blue really stood out on the cake, but all right, loves. So here we are. We are ready, and I don't know if you guys can see. There is some shimmer, but not a lot for you guys because you kind of need the light. Show us your cakes, my loves. Thank you all for watching our friend's cake.